tokusatsu superhero, Byron D0. And I have a treat for you. I'm going to rant about superhero Taisen. Now, I just saw the Raw earlier today. And what can I say? It was a big, steaming pile of rainbow-colored horseshit. You don't believe me? There are YouTube videos all over. You can see clips of it. But they won't do it justice. If you really want to know how bad it is, you'd have to see it yourself. But I will try to go into a great amount of detail about how bad it was. Now, to be fair, there were a few good things about it. Oh, by the way, huge spoiler. I'm not going to hold back on any details. I'm going to explain it as much as I can. So, back to the matter at hand. The things that I didn't hate. There were a couple of decent fight scenes in there. You know, the opening seemed like it was going to go somewhere. You know, you had Marvelous coming out, Lone Ranger style, against the legendary Seven Riders. And I got kind of excited. I thought, okay, this is how you start a movie. You know, Marvelous going toe-to-toe with Ichigo. It went about as well as I would have expected for supposed to be the big badasses coming to kill all riders. Then Decade comes out and they go at it again. And then we segue over to Marvelous with his Danzangyak fleet invading the Rider world. And, you know, they just hit the ground running. They don't pull any punches. That fight was okay, you know. He's going up against Forze and Meteor. He pwns Meteor. Him and Forze go at it for a few minutes. Forze gets the upper hand, yada yada yada. And then the Go-Kaijers come in, and they're all like, what the hell is going on? And then Marvelous is just like, I'm after all riders. You want to know more? Why don't you ask Comrade Decade? So they go back to their world. Decade doesn't really give him much more of an answer. He supposedly kills Guy, Luca, and I'm. And then Joe is just all angry, brooding like, I want to get revenge for Marvelous betraying us, and I'm going to kill Decade too. And then we go back to Rider World, where Marvelous takes his rider slaying mission out on the O's and his little posse of rider buddies. He takes out the Birth Brothers, which I like to call them, and then he goes after O's. After O's has been knocked around by Marvelous's Daizangyak minions, we are treated to an appearance by Kamen Rider Troll. Dien. Although I should call him Comrade Douchebag, but we will get to that later. So yeah, O's comes in and saves and sacrifices himself to save Dien, because Dien is so worth saving. You know, he's so virtuous and so heroic. Fucking bullshit troll thief. But yeah, and then fast forward, we go having Kaito, Dien, who has saved Hina from certain doom, and they're spirited away to Kamen Rider Decade's Dice Shocker ship, where he's trying to get some answers as to why Tsukasa has raised war on the Sentai world. Doesn't really give him any answers either, and he's just like, fuck you, you die now. He sends his Dice Shocker minions, they get away. Oh, and I forgot to mention another important thing. Your favorite other Kamen Rider troll is back. Naru fucking Taki. Yes, and this time he's instead of being Colonel Zol, he is Dr. Gi. Another Showa villain. I'm not too familiar with. I'll have to research that later. I'll probably put it in the show notes here. But yeah, doesn't really make a difference who he is. He's still an asshole and troll. But yeah, so Kaito eventually meets up with the remaining Gokaigers, Don and Joe, and I'll just tell you right now, Don does jack shit for this movie. Hina does more in this movie, and she's a fucking Mary Sue character for most of it. She actually saves the Gokaigers when Kaito's just like, fuck you, why should I? Yeah, and what else? I'm sorry, I'm drawing blanks because this movie filled me with so much hate. True story. So yeah, eventually Marvelous tells them all that if you want to find the real answer, you should talk to Aka Ranger from Himitsu Sentai Go Ranger. So there's only one way to, and they say there's only one way to do that. That's to go back in time. So they're going back in time, and you know what that means? Comedy shenanigans from Kamen Rider Dino! So they're trying to figure out how to go back in time. And Kaito just happens to have some pudding. Pudding. Yeah, he just happens to have pudding. Don't know where he stole it from. Probably stole it from Matsumoto Kiyoshi somewhere in Japan. Because that's what he does. Okay. So the Dinlighter comes in. Momotaro's is like, give me the pudding, give me the pudding. They all jump on the train. We get those wacky comedy shenanigans that have made Kamen Rider Dino so popular for whatever reason for so long. And then owner tries to make sense of everything. They meet up with Aka Ranger. I'm not exactly sure why he knows anything about what's going on in the present time, but he seems to. Then he's dropped off into the present to rally the forces of the remaining Sentai heroes that haven't been killed off. And then the remaining Rider forces that haven't been killed off by Marvelous are rallied by Ichigo, who was supposedly killed in the very beginning of the film. I mean, why not? This whole movie is a fucking jump the shark moment anyway. But I digress. We go back. We go to the standoff fight. Aka Ranger and Ichigo. Their troops go at it, all but killing each other off. Aka Ranger makes quick work of the remaining Rider forces, as does Ichigo with the remaining Sentai forces. And then we get a bigger surprise. Turns out neither one of them was who they said they were. Somehow, Tsukasa magically got the ability to turn Showa Riders now, not just Heisei Riders, because that makes perfect sense! But yeah. So now the villain's mask has been pulled off, and they're going at it yet again. Joe's had enough. He charges in and is like, I'm going to kill somebody today. Marvelous knocks him back and fucks him up. Then Kaito comes in, supposedly wanting to save Joe, and he's somehow had enough as well. I wasn't aware that he had any emotions beyond greed, but what do I know? So yeah. Each respective leader Rider from their side kills the other two off. Yeah, kill. And then only Hina and Dawn are left. And at this point, they're both Mary Sues. They're not killed off, they're just left on the sidelines, while the combined forces of Dai Chakra and Dai Zangyak are back. And also, they're all made of resurrected villains. They're not explained how. It's not explained how they're resurrected. They're just resurrected. And they explain how this was all a big plan just to dwindle down the heroic forces of each world so that they could take over their worlds with this super device called the Big Machine. which is comprised of the Gigant Horse from Gokaiger and the Crisis Empire ship from Black RX. Each that the Great Emperor and the Great Leader were piloting. The Great Emperor being Marvelous and the Great Leader being Tsukasa. But anyway, before they can combine their might to make the big machine, Tsukasa and Marvelous take off their other masks. They shoot the devices away before they can be combined, and then we are treated to them explaining how it was all a clever ruse all the time to draw them out so that they could stop them. And then they pull everyone else that they killed back from this other dimension. I kind of knew they weren't dead because of the color of the explosion. It was some sort of purple energy. Normally in Rider and Sentai, it's plain old flames. It's like, you know they're dead. But no, they pulled a Dragon Ball Z. They don't die, they go to another dimension. Fuck you, Toei. I mean, fuck you. Yonemura. So yeah. And then we're treated to a big brawl where all the heroes basically go at it with the Dai Shocker and Zangyat forces, making quick work of them. And let me put some of the disappointments. I'll take some of the disappointments out of the way right now. You know the teaser images online of the O's keys and the Gosei cards for the card using riders. They're only for a couple seconds. You don't get to see the Gokaiger actually use O's powers in their own special ways. That would have been cool. In fact, that would have been too cool for this movie. I mean, who are you expecting to direct this? Koichi Sakamoto? Ha! Not really. But yeah. And the Gosei cards, they're just used as a shield against Dr. Ki. And then somehow, I guess one of the Gomen uses the Gigant Horse to make a Kaido skill and Water skill grow. And I will say this much, I had no idea that Wall's Guild had any kind of combative abilities. You sure as hell don't see him in Gokaiger. He pussies out when he gets shot in the arm with a Gokai gun bullet. Now he's supposed to be a huge threat in giant form. Sure, I'll believe that. But luckily the Go Busters come in. They dispatch them pretty quickly. And it seems like this is about to be wrapped up very quickly. But, no. We have one more surprise for you kids. Kaito has the combining devices to make the big machine. And because Tsukasa hurt his feelings, he decides to pilot the big machine. I don't know why. I don't get it. Granted, it was raw, so I will have to sit through another viewing of this or fast forward to it, which I will most likely do, just to find out why Kaito was such a bitch about this that he had to basically attempt to kill everyone because he was so mad. Maybe he secretly had a crush on Tsukasa, and because Tsukasa didn't return his feelings, he decided if I can't have him, nobody can! Yeah. Forze ends up jumping into the Go Buster O after Yoko gets knocked out. Just Yoko, you know, normally when somebody gets knocked out, it's all the Sentai heroes. But you know, Japan, respect for women, yeah. Whatever. So yeah, boring mecha fight. Not much I can say. It's basically just that whole mecha fight was awkward. The end piloting the big machine was awkward looking. It was an ugly looking machine. The Forza attachments on Go Buster Road weren't very impressive either. I mean, it was no less ugly than Go Buster Road on its own. And then we go to the end. The day is saved. Kaito somehow survived. Yeah, this movie hates me, so they're not going to allow Kaito to actually die in this thing. No. So yeah, everybody's friends again. They shake hands. All is forgiven. And we hear the song "We Are Brothers." Not a bad song. Probably one of the only good things about this movie. So to be perfectly blunt, I don't like this movie very much. I do not. I swear to good amount. I've been trying to cut back on swearing videos, but when you see so many stupid things that I've seen in this movie, you kind of have to break that pattern. And I tried really hard. I am disappointed beyond words. And I think if and when they do another one of these cross-world team-up films, they should get someone like Sakamoto to direct it, and get someone like Kobayashi to write it, because when she's good, she's really good. You know, she wrote O's, and that series is really good. But yeah, Yonemura, you suck. You are a bad human being, and you should feel bad. You see, Yonemura is so bad that it induced stupid into my brain. Yeah. I warn all of my Toku reviewing friends out there, skip this movie. You don't need to see it. You're not missing anything. It's non-canonical. It's nonsensical. It's just horrid. And when I get a chance to podcast about this, I will unleash all my nerd rage on this movie yet again. I'm Byron D0, your tokusatsu superhero, saying Ja Matana, and fuck you, superhero Taisen.